That would be it.
There we go.
Okay, so for people who were muted, we did roll call, members of the board, and I've asked for citizen comments on any items or topics that you want to discuss that are not related to a specific agenda item that's been published on the meeting agenda. Citizens comments. We have some junior citizens comments. Quite all right. All right. So hearing none, we're now considering the meeting notes from our last January meeting, which was on the 3rd. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the meeting minutes from January? Anybody care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January.
Will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Meeting notes from 4 minutes from January the 3rd are approved. Tonight we have 2 main topics on the agenda. The first one relates to a message board that's been underdeveloped for a long period of time, and it's going to be placed, we hope, on the sidewalk on Calusa Avenue. After that, we have a specific construction project relating to 74 Eureka Avenue. But first, so the reason I put this up, I got an email from someone at the county asking us, do we as KMAC want to consider whether we want to make a recommendation about this project? And my first instinct was, well, no, question mark, because I don't know if this is something that is within our purview. And I wanted to see if anyone else had an opinion about that one way or another. The first, before we decide whether to decide, Sarah, do you want to give us a rundown of what this is all about?
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm Sarah Paul. This is my colleague, Linda Lipscomb. So thanks for having us. And this kiosk has been in the works for a while, and we envision it as really a low profile message board that would go right near 385 Calusa. It's close to Simi Freddy's and where the bench is for the bus stop, a little bit removed from that. There is a sign there currently, a no parking sign, and the county's agreed to move that, and that work should happen in the next few weeks. And this is conceptually what it looks like. It is accessible, and it's in the high traffic area, so we're pleased about that. The county actually helped us select this site. And it will actually say welcome to Kensington. Although some of us who live near the circle do believe that the Calusa Circle is the center of the universe. But we do, the KIC does have a kiosk that's up on the Arlington. And so we felt it appropriate and reasonable to have one down on the Calusa Circle for residents that are down in that area.
So competition with Arlington and Calusa?
Well, Baja Kensington wants to keep that. And this is the side toward the street that the drivers would see, and we envision some kind of logo or emblem with the oak tree. And we've been working with some graphic artists on that. And here you can just I'll pass this around maybe. This is really the sidewalk plan. And you can see it's back from the curb and it's low profile. It's fairly high, but it uses standard fittings to attach into the sidewalk. So nothing fancy. And we'll be working with a fabricator called Deca, and they're going to do the frame, and it'll be powder coated. It's metal, it's powder coated. And then for the tacking surface, we're going to use this material and it's rolled rubber, and it's what you see in a lot of playgrounds. So we'll actually have 2 layers so that if this wears out, we'll have another layer underneath. And the other really important thing I should mention, is this area here, right in the center, is for public notices. It will be delineated that way. It's for KPPCSD, the Fire Board, KMAC, KIC, and it's a way to let people know down in the area when they're walking by what's happening. So no posting necessary at the Calusa Market in the little tiny courtrooms.
I think that one of KMAC's missions is to provide a forum for the public to receive notice and for their comments and questions to be heard and addressed. And I think that you've gone through some of that process already in developing it to this point. Can you help us understand
Right.
what that's all about?
Right, so we have gone to KPPCSD. They really came to KIC and said they wanted this project. And so that was kind of the impetus where we started. And so we did presentations to the fire board, to the police board, they're both donating. And also to KPOA, they're donating as well, and as well as KIC, who's doing a beautiful job on that. So that represents donations from a lot of the citizens. We've also presented to the Municipal Merchants Association, and we have they're donating, as well as Benchmark Pizza, the Fuse, and Calusa Market, and Zip Code East Bay. So we've got good support from the businesses. They're really they're excited about this and want us to kind of really bring it to solutions.
Let's see the question.
Thank you.
It's kind of low tech, I know.
But it works.
It's there for posterity.
Zoom in on it. So you feel that, just from your perspective, that the public has had an opportunity to be heard on the type of project, the plans for it, who will be impacted, and that sort of.
Yeah, and also the Kensington, the farmers market is also a supporter. So all of these groups have really seen the plans and given us suggestions about what they'd like to see, and we've incorporated as much of that as we can.
And they participated in, Linda Lipscomb speaking, thank you all, by the way, for your service. Really appreciate it. We know how it is. And a lot of the expression of the public with respect to this project, and it has been long going, is expressed in the numerous contributions we have received from the citizenry, as well as the various commercial enterprises and the governmental enterprises in Kensington. It seems like this is a project that everyone wants, especially it will save them from, I tried myself to move something a little bit over on that tiny bulletin board at the market in order to put up a notice. It was almost impossible to do. Now they'll have a wheelchair, handicapped accessible, larger space where notices can be posted, and it's a good public communication project, as well as I think it's quite handsome in its design, and we've had good contributions, good contributory effort there, and we feel financially able to go forward now.
Is the location of this on public property right away?
Public right of way.
Yeah, it's in the public right of way, so we are working on getting the encroachment permit
Right.
from the county. And we've been working with Public Works, and the county just agreed to move that sign. And so things are really starting to move forward. I should mention Simi Freddy's is also supporting.
Yes.
And so the sign would be essentially in front of Semi Freddy's, or just basically in front of that same building?
So actually, there's a curb cut here, and then the red zone starts here, and the sign is here. But the sign should be here. It should say no parking where the red zone starts.
Oh, so the sign's getting moved and then the
So-
message board is.
We'll go right where that sign, which is right here. So it's actually in the wrong place.
Okay, no, that's fine. Thank you. Anybody have any questions, comments about our esteemed guests? I should have found it out. So how does this fit in the things that we normally do? You know, what's, well, it's, you know, bulk, size, height, parking, access to sunlight. I mean, how does it?
Well, that's the thing is it's you're usually, everything we deal with is like really more on building, helping residents. Have a forum to build something and not have to go through too many hoops of the county. And we also have, the ability to have their neighbors comment on it. In this case, it's, everything they're doing is through the county already, and it's like, and I don't feel like we're adding a lot of value in terms of, it's not in a residential area, like, if you compare it to the public, what was it, the fire station. And in that case, you're right next, you're in a residential area, you are encroaching on residential land. We need to have that forum, to have people have that conversation. In this case, everything about this project is on public or commercial property. And the question is that something we would get involved with? I never didn't feel we had to really have inside bed deal with commercial.
I don't know if the Kensington overlay ordinance even applies to a public works project, and also the zoning ordinance, you know, it's not even, you know, when we talk about setbacks, it's on public property already. So, you know,
I guess like at first when you first started having this conversation, I think my first reaction was no, this isn't, but then the more I've been kind of listening to your presentation, kind of even talking about it, the more I'm thinking actually, yes, it isn't a purview, because I'm just trying to think if it's a building project that affects the community, like I thought they kind of the intent of this group when it was first set up was to basically just, you know, have a forum, number one, and then basically make sure that we're looking out for Kensingtonians, you know, and what people want, making sure that we're making any building that's happening is actually helping the community in some way, shape, or form, right? So like, do I have any concerns about this project? Absolutely not, you know, but like it's more if there are other projects like it or other projects that could potentially impact, like, let's say somebody around the circle wants to build a billboard on top of their building, you know what I mean? Like, I was saying, sorry, that's not our purview, you know, like I think it would be part of our purview because there's the view aspects, there's other things, so it's like, it just depends on where, like, are we drawing the line at whether it's property, other property, you know? I just don't know where the line goes.
no, yeah, it's why I don't think it's clear cut 100% either way. You know, my understanding was we're here to protect neighbors from each other. And that was the sort of the impulse from, you remember from last month's meeting, one of the people that came and talked to us afterwards was you're talking about the reason why the Kensington overlay ordinance was pursued and ultimately enacted.
Right. Like in this situation, let's say, for example, this kiosk was significantly larger, you know, and caused obstruction, and there was a community of residents that really liked it, but they were a small community, and they were trying to push it through the county, you know, and having a forum here to say, like, for people who weren't agreeing with it would be a good idea, in my opinion. You know, so that there could be a discussion about it, and then maybe you could, similar to what we had homeowners that disagree with the project, you know, being able to do mock-ups or being able to have a discussion to be able to moderate the size of whatever they're proposing. So it's more in keeping with the community and people can accept it, right?
Well, what would trigger, because right now variances trigger these meetings, right? So what's triggering something, is it the same, is there even variances? I don't understand public, I think like when you're building a public national processes, but like there's something that triggers a typical KMAC meeting for property. And this one, I don't necessarily know what that trigger would be, and you don't have to look with the county on something different. Right now, I already does fall.
If I may, there was no direct trigger. This was a situation where Supervisor Joya was working with the applicants. Thinking about the project and said, Robert, let's see what KMAC thinks about this. Let's get them a presentation on this.
Okay.
And so that's what we did.
So like an informational purposes only, maybe. It's more just-
Which. Great, I love it.
Yeah.
I think
It'd be a
it's super
sort of
cute.
asset
It's
to
nice.
the neighborhood.
I agree.
So the short answer is this was simply Supervisor Joya's prerogative.
Okay. Well. Then let's hear it. I mean, not tonight, obviously. I understand from some correspondence earlier today that the county would not be ready for us to review it, even if we said yes. I just am sort of not eager to have, government, whatever it's formed, sort of reaching out and just taking into itself all these things that are not really delineated. But, Supervisor Joya appointed all of us and we kind of serve at his pleasure. So I can't think of a reason why it would be harmful in this instance for us to take a look at the final plans once they are prepared. I have a box full of documents in the basement from when KMAC was deeply involved in the constituting of what's now this park, this Kensington Park. And we also heard the new community center plans, I guess, which, arguably redesigning the community center doesn't really seem to affect anybody because it's the same envelope as it always was, and it's on public land and so on. And so I
think to like Robert's comment and then to Adam's comments, basically like, I don't think we're necessarily changing anything. It's just more like if something gets flagged by Supervisor Joya saying this might be something that KMAC should take a look at, that seems reasonable. And then also if there are members of the community that thinks that KMAC should take a look at it, the opportunity to see whether it's something that would fall apart from you. Like the determination might be like, actually, this is not something that kind of fits with our purview, right? But at least like there's an opportunity for like beyond just the the traditional way that we get notified by the county, like there's, because I don't see this happening very often. I see this as like kind of something we might hear like every couple of years, even at the max.
Right. Yeah.
I think like in the planning department, they have like informational hearings too, where they're just hearings. They're not making a vote, they're just hearing information on the project. And, like,
Well, similar to like the fire stuff that we've heard about, and other types of things, it's like, we didn't have anything to say about that. It was more just, this is a forum for people to be able to share it, and so this like, sometimes we have a lot of people who show up and learn something, which is great. So if they learned about this, great, then they know that we have this nice amenity that's gonna be coming to our community soon, so.
It's true. Plus, now it's in the video record. And
Exactly.
we'll be able to find out. So what do you think we should do? As far as tonight?
In terms of whether or not to make a recommendation.
Yeah, well, we're not prepared to
Yeah.
make a recommendation. I mean, obviously, I'm ready to say yes right now, but it's not. We don't have a formal request from the county for a review, and my understanding is that there was still some work yet to be done. So I think, should we be open to later taking a look at it based on the information we have, the fact that we know that our supervisor kind of wants us to take a look at it, and the county has asked us if we want to. So
yeah,
why not? Why don't we just agree to receive notification from the county, put on the agenda, and we'll notify everybody. And if anybody wants to come and be heard on it, then that's fine, and then we'll take a vote. I don't, there doesn't seem to be anything egregiously wrong with the design. Can't easily propose.
What would be the triggering event for what would be the pieces that you need to schedule it for the kind of hearing that you anticipate?
Well, what we normally do is we receive a request for agency comment, which is typically a package
Okay,
with a cover sheet and write-up and the copy of the plans from the county planning department. When I get that, if it's more than 2 weeks before the next meeting. It goes on the next meeting agenda. Prepare notices, and those are distributed to people who might be physically affected by approval of the design, granting of the variance, and that sort of thing. So we would just paper the Calusa Circle area, and then it would come back at that and be a regular agenda item, at which point we would up to you. So, all right, so let's take a formal vote on yes or no, whether we would agree to hear this at a future date.
Get to speak? Does the public get to speak? I'm sorry, I don't know how to raise my hand.
Go ahead.
Hi, Lisa, you want to talk about this item?
Yeah, thank you. I can't figure out how to raise my hand for some crazy reason. Thank you so much for considering this. I'm also on the board of KIC. And I think the issue before you is whether this is within the purview partially of the KMAC. And it seems to me that that might be a legal question as much as anything else. But the, we have talked to as many people as we could and as many districts as we could and as many organizations. I think we've done outreach. There's always people, no matter what you do, and I know KMAC knows this, no matter what you do, there's people who say, nobody asked me, but I think we have done yeoman's work to actually get as much input from the public as possible and as much input from the Public Works Department as possible in the location, in the preliminary design, in the preliminary approvals that they gave us. And I just kind of I think it's great for us to get more information out there about what a wonderful project this is and get feedback. But this what is it, horse has left the gate. I mean, we have an architect who we've been working with, who actually did the building at 401 at the Calusa Circle right there. He's done, I think, a handsome job on the building and also on, with your help, I'm sure, and also on the on this kiosk. We're really trying to move this forward. We have all of the funding in place. It's probably over $20,000, including the design and soft costs that we've already anticipated. And I guess the question I'm asking, and we're happy to come back to KMAC as this to show the public what this is, but I think it's important, number one, for KMAC to understand what their role really is in the public right of way. This is not tied to any property that has a parcel number whatsoever. The stuff at the community center, although it's publicly owned, does have, it is a parcel within Kensington. This is, you have to ask yourself, what does this mean? Does that mean every time the Public Works Department does something in the right of way, you're going to be interested in reviewing that? Or, any planting that occurs in the Calusa Circle, or, like we did a lighting plan for the Calusa Circle to light up.
So Lisa, I don't think that that's what we're proposing here at all. I think what we're basically saying is that, if there are situations where either Supervisor Joya or his successor at some point, or other members of the community, identify a project that happens to be, on public land and whatnot, there might be situations where they ask for this to be a forum, or a body that asks to take a look at it, so it's not something that I think that to your point, we don't want to expand the purview of KMAC unnecessarily. I think it's more just trying to make sure that as there's need, that we can support that need in whatever way is necessary.
And I think Lisa's point is well taken. I mean, as a legal question, is it for us to decide, but is it legal for us then to hear presentations about, fire damage and danger mitigation projects? Because, it's really not having to do with building projects. And so I think that sometimes KMAC serves as a forum for some miscellaneous, and this seems to fall under miscellaneous as opposed to a request for a zoning variance, or I suppose a design review, I guess you could say, but it's for the factors that were asked to apply in deciding whether that even is a factor, seems to not apply to this particular case. And in fact, we wouldn't even be having this conversation if it hadn't been for requests, specific requests from the county for us to decide what. And so Robert,
If I may, I want to apologize to everyone and the full board. I think a little bit is my lack of clarity. I want to be very clear. Supervisor Joya does not want you to bring this back for a vote to the KMAC. Supervisor Joya wanted you to hear a little report about this little kiosk.
Oh.
And if somebody had a big problem, he wanted to know about it so that we could address it.
okay,
That's all that he
So
wants.
just a forum, that's it.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
well, then we don't have to decide it.
Yeah.
We haven't received a formal request from anybody, and if we do, then we'll do that. I just wanted to sort of take the temperature of everybody. So let's say that tomorrow we received a formal request from everybody to do this. What would you want to do? If you had to vote whether to accept it, what would you do?
My view is pretty clear. It's just like if we're needed to help and it's something that we can't go help, then I think that we can, I vote for yes, and we do it. Like in this situation, it seems a relatively minor type of request that might happen rarely, and so it helps to have us as a forum, so people can talk about it. That's fine. I understand the other fora that we have in the Kensington community can be a little bit more contentious or difficult to navigate, and so we're a relatively laid back place, and so it's not a bad thing for us to be able to offer that to residents as necessary for these types of projects, but I wouldn't want it to expand beyond that.
Well, this end of the table is not as laid back. I'm just saying it's not us, and it's formed.
It's what we got.
There's
contention. And I think that if delay is an issue, then, there's always a possibility going forward that if design is something that needs to be reviewed, KMAC, obviously can be moved in at a much later time.
Yeah.
So, anybody else? All right, thank you very much for your comments. We're not going to take a vote on whether to do it or not. We'll wait until we hear from the county again and make a decision at that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us here. As I say, it's a wonderful thing the way our community functions, and it is in many respects due to the king. So you keep us wonderful, and I'm glad we're here tonight.
Yeah.
And
Thank you
Sarah,
very
thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Sarah's been spearheading this.
To
and
Robert.
Great job, Sarah.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks very much. I think
Very
it's going to be really great.
Thank you
Once we
so
get-
much. It's gonna be beautiful. And
Can't wait to post a notice on it.
yeah, I was gonna say, you won't have to,
I got dibs on both.
you
All
won't have to struggle.
Party at Lloyd's house.
right. Thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you for
Bye.
your input.
Thank you.
All right.
Lisa.
So,
Be safe out there.
all right, now we're going to move on to the last substantive agenda item, which is 74 Eureka Avenue. It's a Kensington Development Plan.
We have a presentation, you said.
Sure.
PDF and PowerPoint.
Well, I don't have the plugs
Yes,
online.
there.
Okay, let's see if that
It
works.
should, typically does.
Thank you. Yeah, be adapted, great. Thank you.
All right, before you start, let's roll the introduction. Okay. So this is the Kensington Development Plan and Design Review and a variance application. The applicant seeks approval to construct a new 800 square foot finished excavated basement. A new 12.5
PowerPoint or
square
PDF?
foot
Yes.
basement entry, a 71 square foot first floor addition, and a new 46 square foot first floor covered porch. So the project includes variances for a 13-foot setback in the front where 20 feet is required. For the first floor addition and covered porch, the project results in approximately 3,784 square foot gross floor area, which exceeds the 2,800 square foot maximum gross floor area public hearing threshold.
Well, mouthful.
I know. I wrote it. It's terrible. So welcome,
Thank you.
and you are.
Quick introduction, my name is Kevin Wagner, my wife, Brenda Nelson.
Hi.
Hi,
Sorry
welcome
for
to
the
the-
background.
Yeah,
Fine.
Casper is,
Don't let him eat
he's excited that he has a library to himself.
it. So I'll yield the floor to you. Tell us what it's all about.
All right, so if you could advance to the next slide for me. Back on.
I think it's really.
We need to,
Okay, this way, please.
you got,
Oh, I just opened the PowerPoint, sorry.
that's all right, we can use the PowerPoint, it's fine.
Okay.
Might be easier, let's see the space bar. There you go. But the presentation move down here makes it a little bit easier for everybody to see in case the text is a little small. So again, as in your pamphlet, the
Sharing.
Are you sharing this with, I think it's just your architect?
I'm sorry,
Who's the-
yeah, and the architect and architectural engineer.
Okay,
on the
so
line.
it's just, I guess it's.
So they actually know about the project. So we won't-
This is a sharing with the Zoom.
It's not sharing.
I think you just opened up the
So it's-
file, so you just need to share your screen on Zoom.
Well, that's be good for the,
Recording.
yes.
Oh, yes, there you go.
Nobody here.
There it is. Missed. Oh, there it is.
Is this working?
Yeah, got it, you got it.
Perfect, thank you.
And we'll go back to the PowerPoint.
Oh, PowerPoint was.
Back one slide, so we need some. Okay, so this project initiated with the need to replace our foundation. It's on the slide over here, so it's for like many of the residents here at the replace our foundation. Since we're having to do it with the mat slab foundation, so it's like excavate anyway, let's go ahead and add a little bit of extra storage below, so we add the basement. So that's what started the project. When we went to the permit department and they said we had some plans, our long-term vision was to make the front more secure to what it is currently, and we've got some photographs to kind of show you what we're talking about. So that's kind of what added the front window replacement with the 40 and new. Okay, so just real quick, the recap of the square footage. Ultimately, what we're adding doesn't add that much additional gross square footage in reality, because we're basically taking away from what was already a covered porch, and then the basement itself is unfinished. So this is the existing condition. Our biggest concern is that big plate glass window there, single pane, easy to break through, rather aged. So the idea was to move the front door from where it is currently. And actually, if you would go to the next slide. So also the concern is how visible it is at night as well. We do drop these blinds at night, but typically it's an hour or two before after sunset, we actually drop. It's like, as you see, we see through the entire house from the front porch. So we really want to turn the security out. So what we thought we would do is just move the front door out. We need a little bit of a vestibule, so we have a place, especially on weather days like today, where we're going to take our boots off. And then also add a little bit of cover for any guests in the house. So that's the extent of what we're asking for as far as the pushing into, because this house is currently in the 20-foot setback, it was grandfathered in. So we're just asking for that little additional piece. If you go to the next slide, this is kind of what we want to do, is just a covered entryway at that front door. Next slide, please. And as you can see, if that's the existing structure here, this being the overhang. So this is what we're actually building, with the exception of adding this small kick out here for the just to add covered porch. Next slide. And you can see it doesn't really stick out that much for the rest of the house. So, and then that door, I'm sorry, the door at the bottom is just how we would actually enter the basement. Next slide. So this is what it looks like now. Next slide. And then this is generally what we like after we've actually built it. So we don't feel like we're asking too much other than the fact that we recognize that we're already in the existing setback. We're just looking for a couple of extra feet so we can provide with the same kind of accomplishments we would have. Because most everybody's got a foyer. We didn't want to just enter from the door straight into the living room. Next slide. And so when we went around the neighborhood, this house here is directly next to ours. So it's at 13'2" from the property line. Next slide. The one directly across the street is 16'9". Next slide. This house is directly behind that one. They're at 13'1". Next slide. And this one is directly across the street from them, and it's at 10 foot. So in reality, we're not really doing anything that our neighbors haven't already done. Probably will 12 foot setback with the stuff to recognize that. But that's generally that.
Have you spoken to any of your neighbors about the project?
Yes, almost all of them that are directly around us.
Gotcha. Any concerns? Anything?
No, everybody's come to us and their only concern was, are we ready for my place? Nope. House is staying current elevation, we're just going down to add some additional storage in the basement. So everybody's pretty pleased.
They offered to come. That's fine.
We have special songs that we sing. Okay, and so the basement is unfinished?
It's unfinished, correct. This is gonna be a concrete slab. At some point in time, we'll likely come back and ask to finish it out. But for this project right now, we barely have the money to put the slab.
Sure, so that doesn't change the envelope of the house?
No, no change in envelope of the house.
We don't see it.
Won't see it. The only thing you'll see is
We won't
the
see it
provided.
as a body, see that, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, you won't?
No.
Okay.
So we'll give it consideration. Is there, does anybody have any questions for our representative? Pretty straightforward.
We're not sure why the county made us come to the hearing board.
It's the variance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Know your
and then
train
they
of thought.
see the variance of 2,800, you're going over it, it was like on our property is already over 2,800.
Right.
But
So that you're going beyond even more and more,
yeah.
just the same way that, you know, even though you're already over the setback. This action will also be over the setback,
Exactly.
and that's not being singled out.
I know, it was just, I'm an engineer, so I do this for a living, so it was a little odd for me that they're asking this. I tried to convince them there was losing it anyway, so I was like, fine, we'll do it.
Are you installing plumbing? in the basement area?
We will have to reroute the plumbing from the upstairs bathrooms.
Or what?
We will be rerouting the plumbing from the upstairs bathroom. It currently comes through the crawl space.
Are you-
So when we do the crawl space,
Are you planning in the future of putting a bathroom downstairs?
yes. So we will have future Y in place in the sanitary just right place. Yes. Yeah, I don't want to tear up that slab. It's gonna be 2 foot.
Not a
thick.
structural slab.
Yeah, no.
All right, well, if no one else has any specific questions, and then, and I don't think we have any people online who want to speak, we should close the comments and have our internal discussion.
You want to start?
Sure. On the non-mellow end.
I mean, I think that we've seen a lot of these, I think the variances are okay, they're going underneath the house, keeping that all the same. They're really moving forward, it's in line with the, several houses in the area, so I don't have a problem. It seems reasonable to me, so I'm in favor of project.
Yeah, I don't think it constitutes the grant of special relief. It is, I mean, the lot is now feature packed, there's no doubt about it, but the east end of the lot sits sort of below grade as far as the street is concerned.
Yeah.
And so I, you know, it doesn't seem that even if everything were situated on a level lot and the houses around you would not necessarily be affected. The design has been, I think, worked to the point where, it's respectful of the neighbors and respectful of the property itself. It's not a fall for Victorians with them. So, yeah, I think it meets the requirements for a zoning variance. We have no problem. I don't have a particular, I can't speak for it, but I don't have a problem with the designs. Anyway,
I don't have a problem with it. I think it's fine. I think it's a significant upgrade to the house and the foundation and the neighborhood. So forth and so on.
and we read it.
Quality of buildings in the neighborhood, given that they're slowly creeping down.
Slowly, we'll have ocean front.
That slab is supposed to sort of.
Yeah, we're just gonna surf it.
That's what like the neighbor adjacent to us down the hill, done that same kind of foundation. We're like, okay, if you guys put the same foundation, we're all floating at the same time, that's okay.
All right, anybody else? Okay, well, how about, we want to make a motion? Steve?
Make a motion to approve it.
All right, and that's,
23-03039.
yeah, and I think we should note that originally this was filed on September the 28th. We received a packet, which was then withdrawn and then revised. So we're just, voting on the latest set of plans. And because the original and the printout of the application indicates 4,288 square feet.
Yeah, that's why we had to resubmit, because there's some mistakes in our drawings. Yeah, that's like a whole second house.
I'll take the motion.
Excellent, well, thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to go.
Many thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, notify the planning department.
I will.
All right, thank you for saying.
I apologize.
Oh, it is.
He told me about the foundation.
Get back those kids.
Thank you for, attempts to improve. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay, anything else? Motion to adjourn? Second, okay, all in favor? Aye. Thank you all for coming out on this rainy Wednesday night.